I'm Alex Cherian, film archivist at San Francisco State University, and this is the Education Archive. You're about to watch news film shot by Cron TV from May 1967 in San Francisco, featuring Robert Kennedy's tour of African American neighborhoods and a public hearing with residents. In September 1966, there'd been a social uprising in Hunters Point in protest against the police killing of teenager Peanut Johnson. Although Kennedy tries to focus on whether conditions have improved since then, it becomes clear that discrimination was rife long before that flashpoint and that nothing has changed. Under intense media scrutiny, Kennedy reaches out to the black community, working with their grievances and listening as they articulate how a system which he represents is failing them.
No, he is the one.
Senator Murphy asked me about the showers, you know, and we had no bathtubs, you know, and he looked and he saw the areas that we had in the bedroom very close, and he was quite interested.
I thought it was very nice. Of other places that we've seen, much worse than this.
Would you call it a poverty area in any shape, way, shape?
It didn't seem to me that I mean, it's public housing, and obviously everybody like to have their own home. And from that point of view, it could obviously be improved, but it seemed very nice.
County, will you please proceed?
Let me ask you this: you had problems and violence and disorder and lawlessness here about a year ago. Have the conditions that brought that about, have they changed over the period of the last 12 months?
Definitely not. The conditions that were brought about did not happen just a year ago. This has been something that has been building up over the years.
What I'm asking you is whether those conditions that brought that about and brought about the disorder that occurred at that period of time, whether over a period of last year, whether there have been improvements and changes which have changed those conditions.
No, I'm sorry to say no. These young men have grew up in this situation. Police brutality, poor schools, poor education, kick-outs mostly. They call them dropouts, but they're kick-out in Hunters Point. If you are from Hunters Point, you get no chance at all. I can only quote, my daughter wouldn't even tell that she lived in Hunters Point because although she had a B+, but if they'd have known that she came from Hunters Point, she would not have got the chance that she did get. So the children lie about their addresses. They will not tell that they live in Hunters Point.
Now, you mentioned in your testimony frightened politicians. I know that you weren't referring to any of the three here. I wonder if you could tell us who you meant by the frightened politicians.
We feel like, when I said we, I'm talking about the low-income people, the poor people. We feel like that the major city policy structure want to continue the same old pattern for over the years, you know, do for you instead of doing with you.
He didn't do too much talking. He was interested in looking at the conditions that we live in.
What do you think he made of them?
Well, in my opinion, he was very sympathetic with me.
In what way did he express that?
Well, he always looks this way, you know, I mean, kind of a solemn look. But this look in his eyes, it really went out, I think. I believe he really, I couldn't observe him just looking, you know, closely, but he saw everything and how we live here in the.
Did he ask you any questions at all?
Did he make any complaints?
No, she said there was a leak somewhere.
That was the only complaint?
Yeah, I think she's doing very nicely.
Senator Kennedy,
Didn't seem that there was.
did you tell her she ought to be happy with it?
No. I mean, you're asking me what I thought of it. I'm not telling anybody they should be happy or unhappy.
Senator, can we expect any meaningful...
As I say, I think everybody'd like to have a nicer house.
Find out. I just wonder who told you to report.
Well, I'll tell you. Who told you me to report? I don't know. So many people told me to report. I just can't tell you who did that.
Have the people, do they feel that the concept of welfare, program of welfare has been degrading?
My husband fell ill and I had to go on welfare. And I was a miserable person. Every time I'd walk in that welfare office, I felt like that I was just something that people could walk on. And I had no dignity, I had no pride.
I have often felt that there is a definite need for the creation of a system, something like the WPA of President Roosevelt's times. This would frankly be a job-creating proposition. No point in arguing. But what is the whole point of a war on poverty? It's to get people into employment and to get them trained to hold jobs. Particularly if the object is to keep the people busy and train their hands for something useful. That things have been tried that are wrong. That maybe the time of the request from mayors and representatives